past few years, collective research has debunked the popular myths that a high-fiber diet lifestyle can cause unfinished housework, late dinners, and neglected family members. In fact, continuing studies show that a high-fiber diet lifestyle may significantly improve the disposition of a crafter, creating a more contented home life. Furthermore, continued exposure can develop an ability to endure meetings, waiting rooms, school functions, and sporting events without experiencing the kind of boredom it makes one want to consume lead paint. Here are just a few ways one can properly increase daily fiber intake. Visit your local yarn store or shop online. Join online fiber communities. Tour sheep or alpaca farms. Attend fiber festivals. Or listen to the High Fiber Diet podcast. Please remember to spread your fiber intake throughout the day rather than trying to get it all in one shot. Stretching and resting is important, and your body will thank you.
Hi, this is Kagi, and welcome to the High Fiber Diet. Oh, I know it's only been a short time since I recorded last, but I had some wins, I had some losses, and I thought I'd talk about it. Have a little bit of time today, so I'm just gonna do that. Last episode, I talked about this pattern that I was making up, and it was a great pattern. I didn't follow all of the pattern. I didn't do all the body work. I did just the top yoke. Pronouncing it, I'll try to put it here. I think it's kuva or yeah, I don't know. But I got it finished. Hopefully I can throw in a picture. This will be short, so maybe I can do these things. And then I put it into soak, just like I normally do. I threw in a couple color catchers. I put it into soak because it's color work. And yeah, it bled all over, front and back. So what did I learn? Well, number one, I didn't do a swatch. So I quickly, after trying to get this to the point where it would stop bleeding, knit up a swatch. The swatch lied. I have a little bit of bleeding here, and that's it. So even if I had swatched, it wouldn't have told me to do more than just have a color catcher in. So, what kind of yarn was it? The brown part is Ecological Wool Antique from Cascade. It is the one, it's a natural dye. There's no dye, just a natural spun up wool. And it absorbed everything that the other yarn released. Just doing what wool does. So I'm not mad at the wool. It is what it is. What was the other yarn? Well, it was from Briar Rose. This is the rest of the skein. And I probably bought this maybe 2010, so 15 years ago. Maybe, might have been 11, 12, somewhere around in there. So 10 to 15 years ago. So it's deep stash, very deep stash. And so what I did was I took it out of the cake and I re-skeined it up. And I'm like, okay, how much dye is in this that's going to release? Because is it just there's too much dye? Is it a problem with the soak that I'm using? Because I've heard that soak can sometimes pull dye. And what is it? So first thing I did was just a water bath. And it came out bright red. Hopefully I can show it here. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do a couple of those. Then I'm going to throw in some soak, still getting dye. And then I said, okay, we're going to try some Dawn. And so I threw in Dawn and I sudsed it up, and then just light. There's no fulling of this or anything. It's not felted. It is still very much a good skein of yarn. Yeah, so in the end, hot water and vinegar was my last rinse. And when I rinsed it the next time to make sure everything was gone just with plain water, I didn't get any feedback. So a total of one extra wash, one soak with vinegar, and 3 straight water soaks. And this is what I have. I had a whole nother skein. I did that as well. And I still love this yarn. I still love this color. I'm just very disheartened with this. So what am I going to do? Well, I know that this yarn will take dye. So I went ahead and I ordered some chocolate brown. And I think the red will still shine through in the parts that I want it to. And if not, I have enough yarn to do a whole nother one with a different color across. You know, this is just an experimentation. Let's see what's going to happen. So this I am not calling a finished object because of the bleeding and the way it looks. It's unwearable, so I don't consider it a finished project. Does it fit? If it had not bled, I would be extremely happy with this. So I know what I did. I can always do it again. I love the way the neckline is. I'd probably cinch that in just a little bit because it kind of sits out just a little, but for right now, I mean, it's wearable. If I were to do it again, I would omit this portion that is all textured. Why? I don't know. But as you can see, it's not wearable as it is. So I have ordered the dye. I will report back. That's all I can do. Does this mean I'm ever going to knit without doing a swatch? No. I swatch on things I feel like I need to swatch on. Other things I don't. I live with the consequences of that decision, and I don't bemoan it. Was it heartbreaking? Yeah. Am I able to move forward with it? Yeah. So that's one. So after that, I'm like, okay, let's go to something simple. I was just going to pull out the big sweater, the Big Sister sweater that I was working on in puzzle cotton. And I had this going, and as you know, it was beyond the sleeves, and I was probably to right here, and all I would have to do is continue on. I wasn't feeling it. I pulled it out, I put it on, in my lap, and I'm ready to do it, and I'm like, I don't want to knit on this. It's been going for almost 2 years now. I don't want to knit on it. Well, that tells me something. The yarn and the pattern combo aren't correct. It isn't what I want to work on right now. It isn't what I'm going to gravitate to wear. But I kind of love the feel of this Premier puzzle cotton. It is soft, it is squishy, it's washable, it's dryable, it's a quick project, as in wash and wear kind of project, not as in making it. But it ended up being a very quick project because it was Saturday when I was dealing with all of this sweater. And Saturday night, I decided to frog the Big Sister. And Sunday morning, I started this sweater, which is a hexagon, heavily modified hexagon cardigan, crocheted. And this is completely finished. So it fits, it's been washed, it's been dried, and it even has pockets. And I am very happy with this. And it is just a snuggle hug that I have needed. It's been a hard week at work with all the snow and everything else going on, and just having a win. So what is this? This is Premier Puzzle Cotton, which is a 57% acrylic, 43% cotton, and it took me 4 balls. I have that much left of the 4th ball, plus all the ends that I wove in and snipped, but I don't really count those when I'm talking about how much is left because they wouldn't be usable anyways. How did I modify it? So I've made several of these hexagon cardigans. I didn't even pull out the pattern. So the first thing is, it says to start, and you start in the armpit, and you're supposed to start with a magic loop. I start with a chain 4 and join because I want it to hold together. Magic loops, to me, when it comes to crochet, I don't know if I do them wrong. I don't know if I'm harder on my crochet stuff. I don't care for them. Even when doing amigurumis, I will still do a few chains, and then if I need to close it further, I'll loop through the tail and pull it tighter. But by Sunday night, this whole side was done except for the ribbing, the seaming, and the bottom, and the pocket. So Monday I was out and about and after work and all that, and I got about half of this side done. And by Tuesday I had that done. And then, work and all that gets in the way. That's just how it goes. You gotta supply your yarn supply somehow. And it was finally this morning that I finished off. The pattern itself tells you to seam up the seams and then knit down the sides, or crochet down the sides. And I don't do it that way. I modify this quite a bit. So when I get to the size of my arms on this, I then, because this is 3 sides, I then only do the front, the bottom, and the back. And I go back and forth on that. And I added 4 more rows. So these 4 rows are not on the arm at all. So the top, the arm, and going down, that's not there. So there's 6 sides and a hexagon. And I do the same thing on this side, where in the pattern it tells you to bind off and then just build the back. Well, I also wanted the length built, and that's why I do the bottom. So there's 4 extra rows on the bottom and there's 4 extra rows in the back, but I did not need 4 extra rows in the front nor on the sleeves. So I left those alone. And then I work flat instead of working in the round. It's still open. And I worked flat 5 rows. Yes, 5 rows of granny, doing a granny stripe. And so the beginning here where I joined, 1 row, I did just 1 double crochet and then started the pattern. And on this second row, I did 2, 1 in the chain up and 1 as the mid part of a granny stitch. And so I did that back and forth. And at that time, did I take, after I'd done both sides and I was able to put it together, I take from this side and I started slip stitching it across. You can see the slip stitch there all the way up until I get to the neckline. In the neckline, I want that neckline up at least 1. So going across it, I did a slip, 2 single, 2 half double, 5 double, 2 half double, 2 single, 2 slip. And that built me the back that I wanted up a little bit. And then I proceeded to slip stitch across this. That gave me the height in the back. As you can see, the height in the back is a little bit different, just to help snug it up on that, on the neck. And the first one I ever did, I didn't do that, and my neck kind of sags right there because of the way the join is. And I'm like, nope, I want it just a little bit higher. So I seamed up the middle. So I should say I seamed up the middles before I seamed up the arms, because this had to be joined before the arms could be joined. And at that point, I picked up for sleeves, and it calls for a crochet ribbing. I prefer a knit ribbing. So I was using a 6mm needle. So I used a 6mm knitting for the ribbing. And my knit gauge is different than my crochet gauge, so it pulled it in just a little bit. That was fine. When I went to bind off, I just did a simple 2x2 rib. And when I went to bind off, the knit stitches, I would yarn over and then do a knit stitch, yarn over, do a knit stitch, pull the first two over this, you know. When it was purling, I just left it because I wanted it to still cinch in, but I wanted enough stretch that it would still be stretchy. Well, I then picked up for the bottom band, and I did half of the bottom band, and I had bound off at that point, thinking, okay, I only have this much of a ball left. I'm just going to bind off loosely, just like I did the rest. Let's move forward with that. So I picked up for the body band or neck band, or however you would like to call it, and I did 12 rows of that, and I did the same bind off with the stretchiness, and that was fine. That one was perfect. The bottom, however, was too tight and not long enough. Still had ball left, so I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So I picked out, as you can see here, this is the neck band, body band. This is the bottom and how much I added. All I did was cast on here. I pulled out everything across the way and then re-knit the bottom portion. I think I put 7 more rows on it. 8 more rows on it before binding off, and I bound off again in the stretchy. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place, but this makes it lay very flat, even though it was bring it down and then have more. It doesn't look horrible, so I'm not ripping it back. You can't really tell when it's on my body. And then I got to looking at it and I'm like, okay, I thought I was going to run out of yarn, and I had like this big a ball. And I'm like, I know I'm not happy with a sweater unless it has pockets. I gotta have pockets. Not that I probably ever put anything but my hands in the pockets, but I want to be able to put my hands in my pockets. So I'm like, okay, should I do a square because it's a granny, or because it's a hexagon, should I do hexagons? And I got to looking and I got to looking and I got to looking, and I did a hexagon. So I put it right into the corner after making it up, and I whip stitched it on. I then single crocheted and slip stitched across the pocket top. It pulls up perfectly. It fits my hand, and I'm happy. And I did one on each side. So even though it is a hexi-cardi, this is not how this is supposed to be done. This is not how this is supposed to be done. and it doesn't normally have pockets. It's also supposed to have all crochet, and I mix the grape and the grain. I was told once you can't mix crochet and knitting, and I said, yeah, watch me. Like I said, I am very, very happy with how this came out. And it fits beautifully. I like it. And I will be wearing it. So what else have I been working on? I think the only other project I picked up were my ducky socks. And last week they were on Try It On Tubing. I don't know who got into calling these barber cords. I don't know, but it's been Try It On Tubing as long as I've been knitting, so that's what I call it. I also ordered a spool of it, so I have that going. This is the first one I did. And now I'm on the second one. I have put it back on the double points. I have done the slip stitch heel turn, and now I'm onto the gusset, and I'll be working down the foot. And this is out of Executive Producer from Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. And other than crocheting all week, because that was what kept me happy, that's what I've been doing. As I said, I'm still waiting on the dye to come in, and then I will do that sweater. And this, I'm really thinking, there's two ways of looking at it. It's either the Jose hood or the Josie hood. And some people are going with one, some people are going with the other. I'm going with the I have no idea. But I have enough yarn with the Briar Rose that I think I'm going to make a hood out of it. And then I don't have to worry about it bleeding on anything. And I'm not much of a hat wearer, but maybe I'll pull off a hood. And I'll finally have yarn that I think the hardest thing about this, I bought this to make the pattern Red Cedar. And I ended up not making that pattern. It's a shawl pattern. And I've kind of been hoarding it like a dragon with their hoard. And then it did me dirty. But I'm going to make it my, I'm going to make it my. So, yeah, with everything else going on this week, I needed a win, so I made this up, and I thought I'd come here and talk about it. Hopefully I can do a little bit of editing and get that up. Oh, I did get a couple things in the mail. I ordered one of these I-cord makers. And I don't know, I haven't given it a go yet, but I might use this and see if it works. I also ordered a set of DPNs, and I did use them on these sleeves when I did the ribbing. And this set goes from, I believe, a 0, which is a 2mm. Yep. So a set of 5/0, they're 8-inch. They're a little bit longer than what I would use for socks. Socks I actually like a 5-inch, but this goes all the way up to, let's pull this out, and this size is not where I can see it. Yay! I think it's a 6.5. Believe it was a 6.5 millimeter. So it's a full set. I like them. They came in the roll. You can find them online. Off the top of my head, I don't remember where I got it. It might have been Amazon. It might have been another place. I don't know. But it's a cute little thing. So I think that's it for my confessions this week. And let's see if I can come back next week. Y'all have a great week and check your checkbook before starting the high fiber diet. Bye-bye.